A very good evening. Welcome to Champions League Live with me, Caoimhan Ferris. Great to have you with us for this one tonight as we round off match day 1 of the new Champions League season. 6 more games on tonight's show. 2 of those early games already done and dusted. 4 games kicking off at 8 o'clock. We'll round up all of tonight's results and yesterday's results, as well as the full match day 1 roster for you a little later on. But it is down to business tonight in our feature game. Another one of the English sides starting their campaign at home, and a Newcastle side who started in Europe a few years ago, got back into the Champions League, but they're back again in the new phase, the new league phase, and a new format for them, and they take on another European giant in Barcelona tonight. What an incredible night it will be, I suspect, at St James's Park. Also this evening, in our other games at 8 o'clock, Eintracht Frankfurt host Galatasaray. Napoli head to Manchester City as City get their Champions League campaign underway. And also in Lisbon as well, Sporting take on Kairat Almaty. Kairat Almaty making their debut in the Champions League this evening. Already, as I mentioned, 2 early games kicked off at 5:45 UK time, 6:45 European time this evening, and they are both concluded, so those are final scores. Club Brugge 4-1 winners against Monaco. They're actually 4-0 up. Monaco got a late consolation, and it was a ding-dong battle between Copenhagen and Bayer Leverkusen. Copenhagen led twice, Leverkusen equalised twice in that game, and it finished 2-2. We'll get you the full details of both of those, as well as all of last night's results, because it was a cracking night last night in the Champions League. We'll bring you all of those a little later on, but it is down to business tonight at St James's Park. Newcastle United taking on Barcelona, a European giant taking on a Newcastle United side that can create one of the best atmospheres in a stadium in Europe, no doubt. St James's Park is rocking, the noise is immense, and the atmosphere and the tension and the excitement is palpable from inside this stadium. A beautiful arena for football, under the lights in the Champions League, and Newcastle, what a way to return to the Champions League. We'll talk about all of their opponents. We'll talk about what they've got to look forward to. Of course, the last time they were in the Champions League under Eddie Howe, it was in that old phase of it, the group stages. It's now the league phase, and the new format of the competition, a very different prospect for them, including 8 guaranteed Champions League games, which is huge for this football club. I will get you the teams in just a moment, but of course Newcastle got their first win of the Premier League season at the weekend. They'll be hoping to follow that up tonight. Barcelona without Lamine Yamal tonight, but they've started their campaign fantastically. 3 wins out of 4 in their La Liga games up to this point, including their biggest win of the season, a 6-0 home victory against Valencia at the weekend, and that was also without Lamine Yamal. Terrifying in terms of what Newcastle will have to face tonight in Barcelona this evening. And look at the atmosphere, look at those fans, absolutely fantastic as the players come down the tunnel. Let's show you the teams then for this one in the Champions League here this evening. Starting with the home side, Newcastle United. Nick Pope starts in goal. A back 4 of Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Dan Burn and Tino Livramento. In midfield, that incredible 3 of Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton in midfield, with a front 3 of Harvey Barnes, Anthony Elanga and Anthony Gordon leading the line. Nick Voldemada, their record signing, who scored on his league debut at the weekend in that 1-0 win over Wolves. He is on the bench tonight, alongside Thompson, Ramsdale, Hall, Botman, Chow, Kraft, Alex Murphy, Willock, Miley, Osula and Jacob Murphy, all on the bench for Newcastle. For Barcelona, it's Joan Garcia in goal for them tonight. A back four of Jules Koundé, Ronald Araujo, Pau Cubarsí and Gerard Martin in defence. Pedri is alongside Frankie de Jong in midfield. Fermin Lopez starts in the 10. Rafinha off the right-hand side. Marcus Rashford off the left. And Robert Lewandowski leading the line. No Lamine Yamal, he is out injured. Along with Pablo Gavi, Marc-Andre ter Stegen and Alejandro Balde as well, the injuries for Barca. On the bench for Hansi Flick's side, 11 players named for Barca. Szczesny, Kochen, Christensen, Eric Garcia, Torrents, Caicedo, Olmo, Bernal, Fernandez, Torres and Berdagji. It is a huge game in the Champions League here tonight at St James's Park, rocking as always in these European nights, and they welcome a massive football club and a European giant to this beautiful venue. It's Newcastle against Barcelona in the Champions League. Kickoff is next. Sure, one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there! Liverpool are Premier League champions! And there it comes! Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners! Oh, he's found the net! Oh, what a goal! Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so! Ahmad, oh my goodness me! That is absolutely unbelievable. Race again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to Champions League Live. We're almost ready to get underway at St James's Park. Newcastle taking on Barcelona tonight, and the Barcelona team being named there. Also, as I said, we'll keep a very close eye on the other three games taking place tonight, including Manchester City getting their Champions League campaign underway against Napoli, and a return of a familiar face to the Etihad, of course. He only left in the summer, but Kevin De Bruyne is back at the Etihad and in the sky blue of Napoli rather than the sky blue of Manchester City, and we'll see how he performs against his former club. Also, Rasmus Højlund starts up front for Napoli tonight, of course. The move from Manchester United in the summer on loan, of course. Some key link-ups there for that one, and we'll keep a very close eye on that game just across the country. Right, back here at St James's Park, almost ready to go. Newcastle, of course, in their famous black and white home strip, and Barcelona in their kind of peach and navy blue away kits. A huge game tonight. Newcastle want nothing more than to get off to the perfect start against one of Europe's best. A team that delighted us in the Champions League semi-finals last year. Were knocked out by eventual runners-up Inter. Barca want to go a step further this year. And they have one of the toughest games of their season very early. And they get us underway here tonight at St James's Park, and a roar of the crowd that will continue, I am sure, right the way throughout the night. That crowd is as influential as the 11 Newcastle players on that pitch. He is most famously known as the 12th man, and that is very effective here at St James's Park. Fabian Schär with a long ball over the top towards Harvey Barnes, couldn't quite take it in, and Jules Koundé will give it back to his goalkeeper Garcia, who was well under pressure there, but Barca able to deal with it. That's a loose pass out from the back there. A ball fed into the box for Barnes, who goes over, but there was no call from the referee. Glenn Nyberg from Sweden And he said that was a fair challenge, goal kick. And you see this again, it was Barnes come across the defender Araujo, who did commit a challenge, but wasn't enough for a penalty in my opinion. Just a goal kick has been given. Right, we're underway in almost all of our games. The Sporting Kairat game is still not underway, but the rest of them are. So we'll keep you up to date with what's happening from around the grounds across the night here on LFS. Great to have you all with us this evening. There's Fermin. Does well there to switch the ball out to Rafinha. Down the right-hand side, Rafinha, left-footed, cuts it back to the edge for Pedri to have a go there. And that's gone fizzed well wide. Goal kick. Yeah, it was a loose and hopeful effort there from Barcelona. Hansi Flick, very experienced manager in the Champions League. Got 3 trophies for Barcelona last year and did everything but win the Champions League for them. Won La Liga. Won the Cup in Spain as well. And of course won the Super Cup as well. A very busy and successful 24-25 season for Barca. And they're unbeaten to start this new campaign. 3 wins out of 4. The other game a draw in La Liga to start the season. And free kick here for Newcastle, 2.5 minutes in. And they're already going to send up the height in Dan Burn to try and cause a threat from this sort of set piece. Kieran Trippier over it. Just inside the Barca half, Trippier switches it out to that right side. A bouncing ball comes down by Dan Burn. It's up and away by Araujo. And then further cleared down that left-hand side. Rashford tries to take the touch and was seen out there by Kieran Trippier. Taking a no-nonsense approach to defending on that occasion. Throw into Barcelona down that left-hand side. Well, there's a man who had a great night and a great day here at St James's Park just a few days ago. Nick Voltemade, record club signing for Newcastle. Starting up front on his league debut at the weekend and got that opening goal, that only goal of that win over Wolves. Seal all 3 points for the very first time of the season for Newcastle. And he was rewarded with a little rest on the bench. Eddie Howe did say that he had cramp in the second half of that game as Garcia was under a lot of pressure there as he tried to play out. And look at the response from the crowd from the Newcastle press. Incredible pressing, and the crowd give them as much energy right back as they give Barcelona their Newcastle. Look at that. Every single one of those Newcastle fans is up and cheering. It's still only 0-0 and they're already all up and ready for it. There's a switch ball there. Seen away by Jules Koundé. Every throw in, every press, every challenge for the ball, the Newcastle fans are cheering. That was a little bit of a cheap giveaway there by Joe Linton. Nicely pounced upon, and a break down the right here for Rafinha. Chops inside, a boo from the crowd as Joe Linton retreating and wins the ball back for Newcastle. Tonali couldn't quite find a man there in black and white, but the pressure on Araujo allows Newcastle to win the ball back. And now Trippier breaking forward down the right. Alanga out in that right channel. He's got Gerard Martin for company. Alanga sees him off and the miss kick. What an opportunity for Anthony Gordon. There's a lovely bit of movement from Anthony Alanga down the right hand side. Sent Gerard Martin like nothing else. He had no chance there, the Barca left back, and just fed the ball back in across the penalty spot. And Anthony Gordon just miskicked it. Didn't get any sort of touch on it. And already an air of warning to Barcelona's defence that Newcastle are ready to pounce at any given moment. And it all came from a moment where they should have defended it better, Barcelona. Gerard Martin, he knows he'll have a tough night against Anthony Alanga tonight, but there's the first real example of that Alanga pressure. Welcome everybody in the chat. Analog Cheese says, good evening, mate. Good win for the Reds last night. Yes, indeed. Liverpool, another late winner for them this season. Just another Andy says, evening, hope all is well. Yes, everything is great. Hope everything is all good with you as well. Hopeful Damada scores 30 goals this season and Isak blanks completely. Well, 30 goals is a bit much. Here's a ball in behind, a chance! Oh, and Garcia got something to it. I think Harvey Barnes thought it was going to dribble in. I think the crowd for a second thought it was too, but the offside flag went up against Barnes. Yeah, very high line again from Barca, stepping up. And the both players in behind there were well offside, in Gordon and Barnes. It was off target anyway, the shot, but the pressure already being felt, I'm sure. Martin, no room for Barcelona to play out here at all, as Gordon wins the ball back high down that right hand side. Alanga tried to cut it back across, just about cut out, and then Kieran Trippier did well to win the throw in down that right hand side again. It's just relentless pressure from Newcastle in these early moments. It's probably what you would have expected. I think it's the least surprising thing to see that Newcastle are applying that high press, looking to really squeeze Barcelona and not give them any opportunity to play out with any real comfort. Don't allow them to settle into the game. That's a lovely takedown by Joe Linton. Nicely taken in down that right left hand side by Livramento, as Tonali tried to feed it in behind, but well blocked by Koundé. Byrne back to Cher. Byrne down the left hand side here for Harvey Barnes. Drifts it in, nice little 1-2 with Tonali. Barnes trying to tuck one in, and across the goal it's caught by Garcia, but nice little 1-2 between Tonali and Barnes just tried to tuck that one into the far corner. Didn't quite get the accuracy on it, and John Garcia had the better of it, and that's a lovely turn by Rashford here. And Barca are on the move. Rafinha wants the pass. Rashford's breaking into the box. Marcus Rashford has put it wide. Long, butt-gusting run by Marcus Rashford down that left channel. You knew he was never going to give it up once he continued on his run. Beautiful little touch, dragging Trippier in, keeping the space in behind. And look at the space arrives. And as he gets into the box, Cher gets into his way and just about does enough to put Marcus Rashford off on the finish, and he drags it wide. And Rashford, of course, made the move from Manchester United to Barcelona this summer, and maybe reigniting his career, as he has been in the doldrums at Old Trafford for quite a number of years, unable to really reach the heights of what he did in his early years of the career. Marcus Rashford, playing at such a free-flowing attacking football side as Barcelona are. Surely he will only thrive. You would expect him with the early signs we've already seen of him in Barca colours over the first few league games of the season. There is still a spark there in Marcus Rashford. Tonali. Joe Linton couldn't quite thread it through. Barca midfield smothered that one, as Pedri does really well. Lovely ball out to Rafinha. Koundé's broke into the box, and Rafinha tried to find him, but they weren't on the same page there, and that ball's comfortably gathered by Nick Pope. B. Termere says, do you support Barca or Newcastle today? I'm not really fussed. I just want to see a good game of football, if I'm honest, as Ronald Araujo does a bit of good defending there. A little bit awkward it seemed with Anthony Gordon, but he dealt with it comfortably there, the Barca centre-back. That's one thing they will be questioned about tonight, Barca. We I mean, I remember the Champions League semi-final last year between Barca and Inter, and it was all about Barca's high line and Inter trying to make runners in behind. And I'm sure Newcastle, with the pace they've got up front tonight, and Anthony Gordon, Anthony Elanga, and Harvey Barnes, they will more than try and test that offensive or defensive line of Barcelona. How well they play the offside trap. Lovely little combinations, and Rafinha got a little bit too rhythmical there. Played it straight to Newcastle. Yeah, I just want to see goals. I mean, who doesn't want to see an unbelievably entertaining game? It's a great venue, two great football teams, a great occasion. Let's add to it and see the goals. The referee has to stop the game here for a second. Tino Liveramento's gone down holding his head, so there's a pause in play. We have our first goal of the night, by the way, in our 8 o'clockers in the Champions League, the late window of action, and it's only taken 8 minutes for there to be a goal in Frankfurt this evening. Frankfurt taking on Galatasaray, and it is the visitors who have taken the lead. Galatasaray leading by 1-0. Yunus Akgün with the goal has given Galatasaray the lead. They make their return, the Turkish side, to the Champions League. Of course, this season they were in the Europa League last year and got all the way to the playoff round. Did Galatasaray, were knocked out by AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League last season, but they're in the Champions League this year, and they're off to the great start after what has been a great start to the season for them. 5 wins out of 5 in the Turkish league, and they are leading away at Frankfurt this evening. Yunus Akgün with the goal there, and Leroy Sané has the one that set up that chance. So 1-0 to Galatasaray there. Still goalless at the Etihad between Manchester City and Napoli. Of course, the return of Kevin De Bruyne to the Etihad in the opposing colours tonight, and we'll see how he gets on. So far, still goalless in that one and goalless elsewhere as well. Right, we're back underway here at St James's Park. 13 minutes gone, 0-0. Fairly even beginning, but Newcastle's press has been very strong so far, but without any real outcome from it. Well, these two teams have met 4 times in UEFA competitions. Barcelona have won 3 out of the 4 meetings previously, but the only meeting that Newcastle did win was on match day 1 of the 1997-98 Champions League season. Oh, what a chance. Here they come again. Asking to shoot. Trippier's chip ball. Switch to Barnes here. Newcastle in the box. Barnes trying to get a shot off. He does. Gets the block from Jules Koundé. Corner to Newcastle. I'll get to that stat in a moment, but see it here. They win it back in the midfield. Newcastle, really tight area in and around the edge of the Barcelona box, and it's Trippier here. He told to shoot by the crowd. He chips it to the far post to Harvey Barnes. All over him is Jules Koundé, and as Barnes gets the shot off, Koundé makes the block and puts it behind for the corner. But all the pressure of Newcastle. And let's see what their first real intricate set piece, their first corner of the night, the first corner of the night. As Trippier goes short, straight off the training ground. Nice little 1-2. Trippier tries to fizz it across the box again, and the clearance made, but didn't get very far and crossed the byline before it was cleared by Barcelona. It's another Newcastle corner. Let's see what they can do the second time round from the corner, Newcastle. Short again from Trippier to Tonali, back to Trippier, whips this one in, and it's straight into the hands of Jean Garcia, who gathers comfortably under no real duress there, the Barcelona keeper. Of course, Jean Garcia, a little less known than, of course, the very famous Barca keeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who's injured at the moment. Just 24, Jean Garcia. Started all of their games this season in in La Liga, and has kept a clean sheet in 2 of their 4 games. 3-0 win against Mallorca away from home on match day 1, and then a 6-0 win against Valencia on match day 4. He's had to make some big saves in those games and has done so. He made the move from Espanyol to Barca, Joan Garcia, this summer. And he is the Barca #1 at the moment. Here's Pau Cubarsí. Rashford tries to go for the early cross up forward, but cleared away. Back to Araujo now. De Jong. Pedri. Martin back across now to Pedri, and now Araujo. De Jong finding Koundé. Looking to manoeuvre the way around Newcastle with their passing, as Koundé does well to get away from his marker and find Rafinha, who fires one forward from the wide area. Blocked and cleared away again by Newcastle. Retrieved by Barca in the midfield as Rashford takes down. And Rashford tried to ping one through there for Rafinha from distance. Half cleared by Dan Burn. It's kept alive though. Rafinha on the right hand side. Cuts it back to Koundé at the touchline. Inside to Frenkie de Jong. As Barca start to push up the field and press Newcastle back into their own defensive third. And get their first good spell of possession so far for the visitors. They've come through that first 15 minutes, Barca unscathed. And Barca very comfortable on the ball. Nice ball into Rashford here. Controls it well in the tight gaps. There weren't many gaps on those occasions. As ball finding Pedri now comes through to Fermin Lopez. Out to Rafinha. Rafinha goes for the early cross, and Lewandowski batted away by Nick Pope. And the rebound is skied over the bar by Jules Koundé. Yeah, great cross by Rafinha. Right onto the head of Robert Lewandowski. Made that run into the box. It come off his head and it was punched away by Nick Pope. Committed were both. And they both come out with a contact on the ball. It was Nick Pope that got it away eventually from the veteran striker, Robert Lewandowski. Of course, I mean, he's unbelievable, Lewandowski. 37 years old, not talked about enough. In terms of the Champions League goal scorers of all time, he's third on that list. Of course, you can guess who he's behind. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But it's an unbelievable record for Robert Lewandowski. One of the best to ever do it in the Champions League. And he's still at the right old age of 37. Up for every game. Up for every battle and every challenge. Guimaraes. Battling there from Pedri. And ball goes out for a Newcastle throw. Well, as I was saying a bit earlier about this game, it's the fifth time they've met. 4 previous times, Newcastle have won 1, Barca have won 3. The only Newcastle win against Barcelona in the Champions League or in UEFA competitions was in a 3-2 victory at home on match day 1 of the 97-98 Champions League season. Faustino Aspria's hat-trick won the game for Newcastle 3-2 that night. And Barca won the return game 1-0 on match day 5. But that's Newcastle's only win over Barca in UEFA games. And what a famous night that was for Asprilla and Newcastle all the way back in 1997. And there's going to be a moment here at the Etihad to tell you about. There's been a red card for Napoli. They have had a man sent off. We'll get to that in a moment because Barca trying to press him behind here. And Trippier does really well at covering the space. But it's a red card for Napoli. A last man challenge from Giovanni Di Lorenzo, the right back, and the captain. He started as the captain tonight for Napoli, and he has been sent off for a last man challenge on Erling Haaland. Yeah, we see it here. He didn't get much of the ball, and he kind of caught the underside of the boot of Erling Haaland, and I think that's a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, and that's a red card. It's contentious. It's not major contact, but there's enough for it to be a challenge to bring Erling Haaland down and give Giovanni Di Lorenzo a red card. So Napoli down to 10 in that one at the Etihad. So advantage Manchester City, still goalless in that one. But advantage Man City with the extra man on the field now in that one. And it is a free kick right on the edge of the box for Man City. Right, we'll keep you up to date with that one. As Barca try and move it down the right here. Nicely intercepted by Newcastle. Guimaraes, nice flick on. Finding Tonali down the right hand side comes Elanga. Elanga bearing down on the box. Elanga couldn't get a chance to shoot. Gerard Martin did well to block him off. Martin trying to fire it up the field for his winger. And Trippier on his own there, dealing with that situation incredibly well. Long kick by Garcia. Good header by Lewandowski, picked up by the on-running Rafinha. It's come central, finding it out left side to Rashford. Rashford chopping onto his right foot, rolls it round the corner for Rafinha, who tried to work it back into the box, but Joe Linton there to try and clear. Doesn't get much of a great clearance on that one, Joe Linton, as Rashford retrieves. Martin finding Pedri. De Jong, Pedri, back to Kubarsi, now to Araujo. Barca move it so quickly and so accurately, just to keep the tempo up, as Pedri does well. Feeds it wide again to Rashford off the left. Blocked there by Trippier. And Trippier trying to feed it down the right hand side. Guimaraes has made the run into the tight space. Now he's laid it through, and Elanga's come unsighted here. Elanga across. Back post. Barnes. What a challenge to get it away. Should have been a goal. Should have been 1-0 Newcastle. Joan Garcia. I mean, unbelievable from Guimaraes, by the way, to play the ball through to Elanga in the first place, to make the run, and then the ball across to Barnes. See this again. It's down that right-hand side. Guimaraes makes the run from the midfield. Gordon was the one trying to make the run through, but he plays the ball through Guimaraes. He knows Elanga's coming around the outside. Elanga unsighted by the Barca defence. He comes down the right-hand side, fizzes it across the 18-yard box towards Barnes, who forces a good save out of Joan Garcia to put it away from goal. But again, on that breakaway, on the counter-attack, Newcastle look a major threat. And they're going to go for a long throw here, directly from that clearance. Tino Livramento to take it. Long throw into the box. Flicked on, bouncing down. And it's dealt with and cleared away by Barcelona. And there's going to be a stoppage here as there's a player down. And a foul on Pedri. It's going to get Barcelona a free kick. Great play by Newcastle. And what a chance for Harvey Barnes. Good save by Joan Garcia. And the crowd absolutely loving it there. Flick ball over the top here in behind for Rafinha, who did well against Livramento, and Livramento wins, blocks it out for the corner to Barcelona. So Rafinha will trundle over to take this corner on the right hand side as Barca commit the bodies into the box. Rafinha left footed, it's deep, it's flicked away at the back posts by Fabian Schär, who was in there, and Araujo trying to recycle. Finds it to Rashford, who's at quite a distance out, and he tried to spray it out wide to Rafinha, but undercooked it. Good initial challenge by Rashford to try and win it back. And in the process, Tino Livramento's hurt himself. It was definitely not a foul. It was a good challenge by Rashford, who was there with a lot of time to spare. You can see what he was trying to do. He just couldn't quite work it out. And then good challenge on Tino Livramento there from Rashford. Yeah, very good challenge. Livramento hurt himself in the process there. Still only the one goal from tonight's games at this moment in time. A Napoli red card as well to tell you about. Galatasaray, the only team that have scored so far this evening. They've taken the lead. Yunus Akgün has given them the lead in Frankfurt this evening. Newcastle have come close a few times here at St James's Park, but nothing doing in terms of the scoreline just yet. Harvey Barnes' chance there that was saved by Joan Garcia, certainly the best chance of the game. And still goalless in Lisbon as well between Sporting and Kairat Almaty, but it's been all Sporting, who had missed a penalty as well. Morten Hjulmand has missed a penalty in the last few minutes, saved by the goalkeeper of Kairat, and the Kairat goalkeeper Sherkan Kalmurza has saved that penalty, so it is still goalless in Lisbon. Well, Newcastle have won 4 of their 6 home matches in the UEFA competitions against Spanish teams. They've lost the other 2. What a ball that is towards Joe Linton, who cooked too much of it in behind for Elanga. He might have been toying with offside there, Anthony Elanga, in any case. And Barcelona have only lost 2 of their last 17 Champions League group stage or league phase games against English teams. Won 8 and drawn 7. However, they have been beaten in their last 2 games in England overall. So it's not a happy hunting ground recently for Barca, but over the years it has been. As Joe Linton giving a yellow card for his challenge. You see it here. You're just dragging Pedri back there. And Joe Linton, the first player into the book tonight. We wanted to be physical tonight, Newcastle. And that they definitely have been. And Joe Linton, his first yellow card of the evening. Rashford back to Pedri. De Jong. Rashford works it back to Araujo. De Jong under a bit of pressure here from Tonali. And De Jong given no room or no space to break through. And he has to go back to his goalkeeper. Nice hold up by Fermin. And now Pedri pinging one over the top. Dan Burn to cover, and he did really well there. The 6 foot odds of Dan Burn getting the better of Rafinha. But again, the Barca midfield wins it back. Although given away cheaply. Rashford wasn't on the same page as his midfielders there, and now a breakaway for Newcastle. Elanga as Gordon goes down off the ball, but Elanga's ball towards Barnes, cleared away, back towards Elanga again, cuts it back to Guimaraes, reads it through for Elanga down the right hand side. Elanga leaves it in the air, and it's cleared away by Barcelona. Not very far though. Good pressure by Newcastle, whipped in by Barnes, too close to the goalkeeper, who hugs it quite desperately there. But again, it's Elanga down that right hand side causing all the problems again. Pokes a lovely ball through 2 Barcelona players to try and find Barnes. Koundé did well to defend it, played it straight back to Elanga, and then they were able to feed Elanga in again. As here come Barca down the other end. Rashford massively seen out there by Kieran Trippier. Rashford's getting into those areas of one-on-one, but he's not winning those one-on-one battles at the moment. As Barca working into the box here. Pedri to De Jong, out wide again to Rashford. Bodies in the box, Rashford lifts it into the air. And it's just too high for Rafinha to get anywhere near. But applause from Hansi Flick at his side's attempts. And in the end, it comes for a Newcastle goal kick. 30 minutes gone. Still goalless. So far, Newcastle have had 3 shots. Barcelona 4. 2 of their 3 shots, though, Newcastle have been on target. Just 1 of Barcelona's 4 have been on targets. In terms of the possession, Barca just edging at the moment 62% of the ball for the visitors. And as you would expect them to have more of the ball. Barca. Pedri. Laying it off to Jules Koundé. Nice hold up there by Lewandowski as the referee plays advantage, as Lewandowski was challenged by Fabian Schär. Lewandowski making sure the referee knows how many fouls that is that he's given. Yeah, Fabian Schär just a little late on the right boot of Robert Lewandowski. He's keeping the referee right there, that experienced number 9. Free kick to Barcelona. Robert Lewandowski. Too long in the tooth to be kidded. He knows exactly what the deal is. As I said, a referee tonight, Glenn Nyberg from Sweden. As the free kick delivered into the box. Again, cleared away by Newcastle. Under no real duress there ultimately, but nice little move from Pedri to jink forward. There's a player down here for Barca. It's Rashford. And they're going to have to put the ball out of play. De Jong does that. And they're going to get the stoppage here as Rashford has to see some treatment. He's in real pain. It looks like his abdomen. Yeah, he kind of gets elbowed in the torso there by Kieran Trippier. And it's Ronald Araujo, actually. I couldn't quite see who it was beforehand. I just read the number on the back of their shirt, and 4 and 14, very similar. And Ronald Araujo was the one that got absolutely elbowed. It was kind of clean elbow into his torso. Completely accidental from Kieran Trippier, but it's a painful one. Well, a reminder for you, we have Premier League action at the weekends. We get 2 big games on Saturday for you. Starts at lunchtime on Saturday. We're at Anfield for the Merseyside derby. That's 12:30 on Saturday afternoon here in LFS. We're back underway now. Araujo is okay. So much so that he's on the ball right now. Kubarsi to Gerard Martini. Does a nice little move inside of Alanga. Held up there by Fermin. Now Pedri to Koundé. To Rafinha now. Frankie de Jong. Kubarsi playing it out wide. Works it back inside again to de Jong. Trying to find a way through this Newcastle side. A 5-4-1 out of possession from Newcastle. Turning into a 4-5-1 at times. And that's nicely held up by Fermin Lopez. Now the follow-up. Lewandowski's shot blocked. That's good pressure from Barca. De Jong. Now to Rashford. Rashford with a cross. Schär with it. Defensive header, and it's flicked back across by Rafinha. Kept inside by Rashford. Does well to recycle it to De Jong. Good pressure from Barcelona this. De Jong in behind now. Fermin trying to dink one towards Rafinha. Cleared away as the follow-up threaded through here. Robert Lewandowski. Shot deflected in. The follow-up is wide from Rafinha. That was their best bit of pressure of the night, Barcelona. Newcastle unable to get it away, and this Robert Lewandowski does really well. Holds the back line, chops back inside, has a go. Well blocked, and then the rebounded effort falls for Rafinha, who strikes it with his left, but can't keep it in the confines of the posts and puts it out wide, hitting the side netting. Goal kick. But you gotta say, that was good pressure from Barcelona. And Newcastle did well to, in the end, not concede, but it was more on Barcelona not able to finish Rather than anything else there on that occasion. Shows you what Barca can offer. Their ability just to sustain that pressure on Newcastle. The first real occasion, as I said, we've seen it tonight where they have sustained the pressure on a consistent basis in the final third. As, that wasn't consistent, and it wasn't very Barcelona-like there from Jules Koundé and Pedri. Newcastle throw high up the field here down the left-hand side. Oh, pressure on Guimaraes, and he's beaten off the ball now. Barca on the move. Robert Lewandowski looking for options, not many in kind of peach to find him, and he works it back towards De Jong now to Barcelona as Newcastle get everybody back behind the ball in shape to try and defend this Barca team. Here's Jules Koundé, whips it in from wide, cleared away by Byrne, nicely taken down again by Pedri, and Koundé will work it back to Araujo. Here is Frenkie de Jong. "37 minutes gone here at St James's Park. Newcastle 0, Barcelona 0. Both sides have come close. Barca maybe growing in their output as the half continues. And probably having their best spell of the game in terms of pressure are Barcelona. Here's De Jong. Pedri. Pedri pokes one through. Lovely little combinations. De Jong comes away with the ball. Now he finds it to Rashford. Rashford with a bit of space trying to jink around a man. Gets past Trippier. And the block takes a deflection off the shot from Cher. And that gets it away as Livramento beaten to it by Jules Koundé as he tried to break away from the box. Nice little back pass there, and De Jong cuts it back to Rafinha, trying to find a bit of room as he was brought down there, and that's going to be a free kick. Bruno Guimaraes committing the foul. Free kick to Barcelona. Yeah, they've certainly sustained the pressure a lot more in the last few minutes, Barca. Rafinha did well there, got away from his man, and Guimaraes wasn't letting him get away too far and gives away the free kick. And now Nick Pope has to set up his wall to make sure that this defence is watertight and in the best position to defend this moment from Barcelona. Rafinha is over it, along with Rashford. Three-man Newcastle wall. About 26 yards out. Rafinha! Just over the bar. Goal kick. Just couldn't keep it down there, Rafinha. He got it up and over the wall. Just couldn't get it back down the other end, though. Goal to tell you about in the game between Frankfurt and Galatasaray. I said Galatasaray, the only team to score tonight. Well, they've just been pegged back. Frankfurt are back on terms. It's an own goal from Davinson Sanchez that has levelled the game, and Frankfurt are back in it. 1-1. Nearly a game Frankfurt haven't done very much in, but they've got their way back into it through an own goal, and it is 1-1 there in Frankfurt. Still goalless in every other game here so far this evening. Defence is seemingly on top so far in all of our games. Here's Barnes. Nice little reverse ball, finding it out wide to Livramento. Trying to return it back to Barnes, who went down. And the last touch came off a Barca player, they're claiming. And they're claiming a corner here, Newcastle. I think the referee has given it. See it again, it's a lovely reverse ball, and Livramento just tries to cut it back to Barnes, and it is a Newcastle corner. And as Barnes slid in to try and get the ball, and the Barcelona defender put the ball out for the corner. Third corner of the night for Newcastle. The first two, they've gone short. This one, I think they're going to go with a whip ball in, because Dan Burn has somehow found his way towards the goalkeeper there. A very crowded 6-yard box. Right-footed delivery from Alanga. Punched away by Garcia. And further cleared by Rashford to allow Barca to push out. Trippier pings it forward again. Up and over by Byrne. Into Joe Linton, who laid it off well. Left by Tonali, finding Alanga. Nice share. He will fizz one in. Cleared away by Barcelona. And a bouncing ball. Put Tonali under a bit of pressure there, but nicely dealt with, as that's a good header won by Joe Linton. But the flag has gone up against the Newcastle midfielder. Free kick to Barcelona. Well, this is of course Newcastle's 4th campaign in the Champions League proper. It's only their 2nd since they faced Barcelona back in the 2002-03 campaign. And Eddie Howe's side finished 4th in their group back in the 22-23 or the 23-24 season. Sorry, they did finish 4th in that group. A very tough group on that occasion. Borussia Dortmund, PSG, and AC Milan all in Newcastle's group that last time round. They won just one game, and that was a 4-1 win against PSG here on match day 2 of that season. Here's Alanga. Breaking down the right-hand side, bodies into the box. Alanga cuts it back for Joe Linton, who left a lot on that one. But it's curled back in. Kept alive by Anthony Gordon. Gordon off the left. Looking for the cutback. Blocked by Jules Koundé. Corner to Newcastle. They started the half quicker. Looks like they're going to be ending the half. The more energetic Newcastle. Trying to up that tempo again after it's kind of withered a little bit. We'll see if they can reapply that pressure to the Barcelona defence. Alanga to come over to take another corner here on this side. Alanga's delivery flicked on and cleared away by Barcelona once more. Livramento will fire it forward again, but put far too much on that one, and Joan Garcia, will gather the ball. Lovely bit of distribution there from the Barca keeper to Jules Koundé. Just another Andy says, nice if Newcastle could nick one right before half time. It'll be unbelievable the noise if they do get a goal before half time, Newcastle. As the boos are ringing around with Barcelona in possession. Gubasi to Frankie de Jong. Back to Pedri. De Jong to Pedri again. Tight space, Pedri. Closed out there by Joe Linton, and Pedri tried to win it back. Barca trying to squeeze, but Guimaraes did well, and he was cleaned out by Gerard Martin. It's going to be a free kick, and Guimaraes in a real bit of pain there. I think that's going to be a real tough one there. And you'll see it again. Guimaraes spins away, gets into the space, and then Gerard Martin leaves one in on him. Yeah, there was no intention to play the ball there from Gerard Martin at all. Very cynical. Very cynical, and he gets himself a yellow card for that challenge. As we will have 2 additional minutes at the end of this first half here at the great venue of St James's Park. What will be the thinking of Eddie Howe and his team? Guimaraes is still down here, by the way. What will they be conversing about at half time? He was slightly caught as you can see, higher up his leg. That's where the pain clearly comes from. It's going to be a free kick, as I said. Gerard Martin getting a yellow card for that challenge. And with the clock ticking down towards half-time. Reminder, at half-time we'll analyse all of yesterday's results, all the 6 games yesterday, as well as the 2 early games that we've had this evening, as well as talking about the first half here. This evening in the Champions League and how these 2 teams have played. Long ball by Pope, cleared away by Barcelona again as it arrived into the box, that free kick. And Jules Koundé, under a bit of pressure, does take it down. Hounded here by Dan Burn. And Koundé feels he was caught, and the referee agrees. Dan Burn makes the claim that he didn't touch Jules Koundé, but the referee certainly saw something, and Jules Koundé certainly felt something from the way he has reacted, and Dan Burn's got himself a yellow card on that occasion. See this again. Yeah, he is late. He did catch Jules Koundé, definitely. He's lucky there. Dan Burn. It's definitely a yellow card. He's not happy about it, but you only need to take one look and see that he did catch Jules Koundé, and he did catch him high. But it is a yellow card, no doubt, from Dan Burn. And Jules Koundé just helped back to his feet by the physios on the sidelines there. And the crowd are not happy with Jules Koundé, as you would expect. But the 2 minutes of the added time are up, but it'll be one free kick, and I'm sure the referee will look to end this first half. I don't know why he's taking the free kick from so far in, Joan Garcia, but he's allowed to by referee Glenn Neyberg. Fires it forward. Well headed by Dan Burn. Out for the throw-in to Barcelona. Well, Hansi Flick was looking for more than a yellow. VAR didn't quite see it that way, just a yellow. As there's the half-time whistle. An enthralling first half at St James's Park. Both sides giving it their best in the first 45 minutes, but nothing doing on the scoreline as the teams head to the dressing rooms. Barnes came close. Alanga also creating a lot of chances for Newcastle. Barca with a good bit of pressure as well. Both sides have had opportunities, but neither side have found the net yet. Half-time at St James's Park in the Champions League. It's Newcastle United 0, Barcelona 0. We'll analyse the first half and all of the results when we come back. Sure, one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and battered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to Champions League Live. Half time at St James's Park. It's Newcastle United 0, Barcelona 0 at the break. I will talk about the game in just a moment, but already this evening we've seen Club Bruges pull off a great matchday 1 victory at home. And winning by 4-1 against AS Monaco. They were 4-0 up in that game. Monaco got a late consolation goal. It was a ding-dong battle in the other early game in Denmark, in Copenhagen, as Copenhagen and Bayer Leverkusen drew 2-2 there in Denmark. As I said, it was a ding-dong battle in that one. Copenhagen were ahead twice. Leverkusen equalised twice on the night to come away with a point apiece in that one. Half-time in all of our games so far this evening that have kicked off at 8 o'clock. And we have a lot to tell you about because a lot has happened in Frankfurt just in the last minute or so. I can tell you about. See that scoreline there, 1-1? Well, I can tell you there's 2 more goals that have come in that game just in the last few seconds. And I can tell you that Frankfurt now lead by 3-1 in that game. Galatasaray took the lead. Yunus Akgün opened the scoring after just 8 minutes to give the visitors, the Turkish side, the lead. They'd won all 5 league games so far this season, Galatasaray, and they were looking well for it to try and add a 6th win of the season early in the game. But it was an equaliser, an own goal from Davinson Sanchez that leveled the game for Eintracht Frankfurt. And just in the last few minutes, just before it went to half-time, in the 45th plus 2nd minute, so the 2nd minute of additional time in the first half, it was a goal from Can Uzun that gave Frankfurt the lead, and another own goal in the 4th minute of added time from Wilfried Singo from Galatasaray. That's another own goal of the night for them, and it's 3-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt at half-time, so it is a big turnaround there and a massive few moments towards the end of the first half to give Frankfurt a 2-goal lead. Elsewhere, though, it is goalless between Manchester City and Napoli at the Etihad Stadium tonight. Now, the goalkeeper has been able to be breached so far in that one, but there has been a red card, which is a big talking point. Giovanni Di Lorenzo, who came into the game as the Napoli captain tonight, but he has been sent off for a professional last-man challenge on Erling Haaland. Initially, a yellow card was given by the referee, but a red card after the referee went to the monitor and had a review, and the card was changed to red in that one. Kevin De Bruyne, meanwhile, has been taken off in that game, so on his return to Manchester City, he's had to come off. I'm guessing that is due to the fact that there's been a red card and nothing else, but De Bruyne's return to City is a short-lived one, but at half-time it is 0-0. Manchester City have more or less been all over Napoli since that red card, but it is still goalless. Speaking of goalless, it's goalless here at St James's Park. Newcastle 0, Barcelona 0 in this one. And I think quickly just to summarise this game in the first half, I think it's a first half where both sides had opportunities, both sides had their little spells where they were the better side, where they were threatening the opposition on a consistent basis, but I think it was neither side really dominated that first half, I gotta say. Barca, of course, had a lot more of the ball and did, when they came forward, sustain their possession a little bit more than what Newcastle did, but those first 15 minutes, we knew they would be crucial to the way this game would go tonight, and Barca did ride that little storm that Newcastle threw at them in the first 15 minutes. Of course, as you expect, the atmosphere inside St James's Park playing a major factor, and the press from Newcastle was absolutely delightful in the first 15 minutes, but unable to take advantage of that. Newcastle, as I said, have hung in there in moments themselves in that first half. They've not always had it their own way, and of course a Barcelona side that have so much quality and talent, but they've kind of held them to half chances, really, Newcastle, in that first half. I think Barcelona have had half opportunities with Rafinha, maybe Rashford on occasion. We've not really seen much of Lewandowski in the box, or really much of Fermin Lopez either, but it is a very congested area when Barcelona are on the ball, and then you would expect them to try and carve something out, but Newcastle at the moment holding firm defensively and trying things up the field, and of course that pace in behind with Anthony Elanga, who's causing quite a few problems down that right hand side to the Barca defence. But again, as I said, nothing to show for it at half time, but the quality is still very much in this game, and either side could come out in the second half and take firm grip to try and win it, but it is still goalless, nothing, no damage done to either side at half time. The other game that we were watching that was goalless when I last told you about it, but there has been a goal just before half-time in Lisbon. And the debutants, Caoimhan Almaty, had a penalty saved. They were actually could have been 1-0 down a lot earlier, but Hulmand had his penalty saved by the Caoimhan Almaty goalkeeper, but they did take the lead just before half-time. Now Sporting Francisco Trincao has given Sporting the lead, so it is Sporting 1, Caoimhan Almaty 0 at the break. Those are tonight's games. Let's remind you of the 6 games last night and go through them one by one. We'll start with the early games and the results from those games last night. Olympiacos and Paphos. Paphos making their debut in the competition. They actually went down to 10 men in that game in Greece, but Olympiacos weren't able to take advantage of it. Look at the possession and the shots that they had, but they weren't able to convert on the score sheet, and Paphos come away with a massive point and a big clean sheet on the road in their first Champions League game as a football club. To the other early game last night was another draw. And this one, a score draw between Slavia Prague and Bodo Glimt. And it was a very good game. Slavia Prague were actually 2-0 to the good going into the final 15 minutes of that game. But 2 late goals from Bodo meant they were coming away with a point away from home. A 90th minute equaliser from Fett levelled the game. It finished 2-2 there in Prague. To the 8 o'clock games last night, some exciting games there, including this one. Ajax against Inter Milan. Ajax failing to score last night. Inter with 2 Marcus Thuram goals. And Thuram also thought he'd won a penalty that was disallowed as well. So Marcus Thuram running the show for Inter last night. And they beaten finalists, of course, in last season's competition, who had a wonder show against Barca, of course, in the semi-finals, if you remember. They're off to a winning start in that one. 2-0 victors last night. It was a good game as well in Munich. Bayern Munich taking on Chelsea last night. Bayern coming out 3-1 winners. In the end, it was an own goal from Trevor Chalobah that opened the scoring inside 20 minutes. It was then 2-0 not long after when Harry Kane converted from the spot, but it was back the other way it came, and Chelsea got it back to 2-1 within a matter of minutes. Cole Palmer with a nicely taken effort, making it 2-1 to Bayern. Kept it close, but Harry Kane's goal on 63 minutes meant it was all Bayern, and Bayern came away with all 3 points on match day 1. Chelsea, of course, reigning European winners, of course, of the Conference League last year, but weren't able to convert to 3 points on match day 1 of the Champions League last night. Well, it was another late winner. 5 games for Liverpool this season in all competitions, and all 5 games have been won by a single goal and by a late winner. Certainly a single goal as a late winner in those games. Unbelievable, the record that Liverpool have been holding so far in this early season. It was 2 goals inside 6 minutes that gave Arne Slot's team the lead. Robertson converting, deflecting in a Mo Salah free kick to make it 1-0. Salah then got on the score sheet himself just minutes later. Lovely little individual play and a good ball by Ryan Gravenberch to set it up. Made it 2-0 to Liverpool. But it was to be Atletico that would fight back into the game. Marcus Llorente with both goals coming either side of the half, the second of which came in the 81st minute to level the game. But if you know Liverpool this season, don't score against them, don't equalise against them, because they will hurt you, they will kill you. And Virgil van Dijk, the Liverpool captain, stepping up, rising the highest from a Dominic Szoboszlai corner and heading in to give Liverpool the victory. As I said, another goal. That's their 5th game in a row that they have won the game via a goal in the 80 minutes plus. That is a record for Liverpool. Unbelievable mentality and perseverance from the Reds. Right, it was a lot easier for the European champions to pick up a home victory against Atalanta last night. PSG running riot against Atalanta at the Parc des Princes. Marquinhos, the PSG centre-back, gave them the lead inside 3 minutes. It was then 2 whenever Kvaratskhelia converted on the 39th minute. Nuno Mendes added his name to the score sheet on 51 to make it 3 before a late goal from Gonzalo Ramos made it 4-0. A very convincing victory for the European champions last night. And in our early games this evening, It was a big victory for Club Bruges, 4-1 winners against Monaco. Tresoldi, Onyedika, Vanaken and Diakon all on the score sheet. A late goal from Ansu Fati got Monaco a consolation, and who knows, goal difference could come into things a little later in the competition, but 4-1 winners were Club Bruges. A fantastic result there for them on match day 1. And a draw in Copenhagen, as we mentioned. A ding-dong battle. Larsen gave Copenhagen a half-time lead, but it was all to be drama into the final 10 minutes. Grimaldo then equalised for Leverkusen on 82. Then they were back in front again, Copenhagen, through Robert on 86. But a 91st minute equaliser from Hatzidakios, an own goal from Copenhagen, meant it was 2-2. And Leverkusen come away with a point. They had a lot more possession, more shots, but in the end, Copenhagen more threatening with their opportunities. But it was to be a point apiece shared between the two sides earlier this evening. Right, that is a roundup of all of last night's results and our two early games. And a reminder of those half-time scores in our 8 o'clockers. Eintracht Frankfurt 3-1 up against Galatasaray. Man City 0, Napoli 0, 0-0 here at St James's Park, and Sporting 1-0 up against Kairat Almaty. Right, second half at St James's Park is on the way next. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Champions League Live, second half at St James's Park on the way next. But a reminder for you what's to come this weekend, or actually first we'll tell you the match day 2 of the Champions League is just in a few weeks' time, 2 weeks' time. Tuesday the 30th of September and the 1st of October, Wednesday the 1st of October. Match day 2 across 2 nights, 9 games. It increases from 6 to 9 games each night from match day 2 onwards in the Champions League. So a lot of games to keep you right up to date with. In the second half, or in match day 2, also this weekend, a double header of Premier League action on match week 5 as the champions Liverpool welcome Everton, who's made a good start to the season under David Moyes. They come to Anfield for the Merseyside derby, followed by our game of the week on Saturday evening as Manchester United take on Chelsea at Old Trafford. 2 cracker games for this weekend for you on LFS. Right, back here at St James's Park for the second half. The referee and the 22 footballers are out onto the field, ready for the second period here at St James's Park. Neither side able to find the net in the first 45, but another 45 will come, and both will hope that they can find the net to try and give themselves what would be a great opening night victory. As we do now get underway then for the second half here at St James's Park. And Newcastle take the kickoff. And are actually going to have to retake the kickoff, it looks like, because the referee's not happy with that kickoff. So we will retake it. Look at the ball, it looks scuffed as we do now get underway for the second half. That was very intriguing. The exact same thing happened. They pinged it out to the left hand side there, Newcastle, from the kickoff, and Barca get a throw in deep in their own half. Unable to clear their lines there, Barca, and through ball by Joe Linton, overhit, goal kick to Barcelona. Well, it will be whoever strikes first will have the benefit of this game. If Newcastle get first, this crowd will be absolutely uproarious. And a rapturous atmosphere here at St James's Park. But if Barcelona get the first goal, it will be a real reliever for them. But remember, Newcastle were down to 10 against Liverpool. They were 2-0 down and they fought all the way back to 2-2. So even in the most tricky of circumstances, even if they do trail at any point tonight, Newcastle, they will believe in themselves and their ability to fight back and to try and get back into the game. And this crowd can certainly more than help them do that if they need to. Still goalless though. Joan Garcia under pressure. Sends it flying. Byrne winning a commanding header. As Kubarsi directed that one wide, but Livramento takes it in. Rolls it down the left-hand channel. One for Barnes to chase. Blocked on that side by Araujo. And that's going to be a Newcastle corner. And as Newcastle come over to take this corner without the Alanga. The roar from that corner of the stadium. The Gallagher end. Every stadium has their famous end. It's the Gallagher at Newcastle. It's where they got the goal on many an occasion in a massive moment. And they have their first corner of the second half at this end. Ball whipped in. Flicked on! And wide from Joe Linton. That's a big chance. The first real opportunity we've seen Newcastle create from a set piece. It just comes skimming off the head of Joe Linton really and gone wide. Just can't direct it towards goal. And that will give Newcastle a lot of confidence. That's a lovely ball. Finding Harvey Barnes. Barcelona a little bit sleeping there. They get it away. Good block by Araujo. And Livramento does well to win the throw-in down the left-hand side again. Newcastle coming out with the energy to start the half. Going to go for another long throw here. Livramento to take it. Many a target in there to try and help it on its way. Livramento, long throw into the box. Up and over by Byrne and flicked across. Kept alive for Gordon, but good defending in there by Rashford, who got a defensive header on that one and his keeper claims it. Although Garcia sent the flying long. Caught by Nick Pope. Seemingly the momentum for Newcastle to start this second half. This is Barcelona's 30th campaign in the Champions League. So here comes a through ball by Tonali over hits. Wasn't on the same page there with Anthony Alanga. As I said, 30th campaign in the Champions League proper for Barcelona, a competition record which they share with Real Madrid. Barcelona featured in every season of the Champions League since 2003-04, which is quite remarkable. 22 successive seasons in the competition. De Jong. Rafinha. Pedri now. Fires it through. Fermin Lopez does well to link it up with Lewandowski as he tries to roll it through. Lopez gets the block. Rashford! Deflected. Takes it behind for the corner. And it's come right off the head of Fabian Schär, who's gone down. And Trippier's there too on the scene. But we see this. Beautiful from Barca. Nice ball by Pedri. Linked up with Fermin Lopez. Laid it off to Lewandowski, who went for the 1-2. The give and go. And as Fermin made the run into the box, that was blocked. It fell to Rashford, who had a go, and it was blocked by the face of Fabian Schär out for the corner. And Schär has felt the full force, the full brunt of that Marcus Rashford shot, and he's going to get some treatment at the moment to make sure that he is okay. Barcelona finished second in the league phase last season. They won 6, drawn 1 and lost 1 of their 8 league phase games. Hansi Flick's side went on to beat Benfica 4-1 on aggregate in the round of 16. Beat Dortmund on aggregate as well in the quarterfinals, and then went on to lose to Inter in the semi-finals. Of course, 3-3 in the home leg, 4-3 loss after extra time in the away leg in the San Siro. Unbelievable night that was. 2 unbelievable games in the Champions League semi-final last year, and they went on to lose that game. And in that semi-final tie, that's a total of 13 goals. It was equaled the record for the most goals in a Champions League semi-final tie in the competition's history. That 13 goals that was scored in that tie between Barca and Inter. 7-6 over the two legs. Unbelievable that game was. I mean, if you score 3 goals in each game in a two-legged tie, you would feel that more often than not you would be good to try and win. But not what Inter were on last year, and in the end they ended up shipping 5 in the final. So who knows who came out the better there. As Fabian Schär back to his feet. Remember, Newcastle have options off the bench, including that man Nick Voltemade. We got a shot of a minute or so ago. There's a very famous man, Rafa Benitez. He gets around. Watch the cracker at Anfield, and now he's here at St James's Park. Two clubs that he used to manage, of course. Rafa Benitez. Of course, he managed Newcastle when they were in the days of trying to stay in the Premier League. He actually won the championship with them, Rafa Benitez, of course, those years ago, and stabilised them in the Premier League. .52.5 minutes gone. And Barca have had 10 shots in this game, but only none of them on target, according to the official Champions League statistics there. Newcastle had 5 shots, 2 of them on target to this point. Joelinton, nice ball in behind here. Alanga's in behind. He's got Gerard Martin for company. Cuts it back to Joelinton now. Laid across to Guimaraes, who was hounded away from the box there. Although nicely won back by Trippier. Kept alive for Joelinton. Out wide it goes to Alanga. Into the box it comes, and Jules Koundé gets it away with his head. Back to Alanga. Better from Newcastle. Trippier. Into the box it goes for Guimaraes. They want the flag there, the Barcelona players. It doesn't come as the ball falls here to Tonali, who has a shot straight at the goalkeeper in Joan Garcia again, sorry. And that was better from Newcastle. Good layoff for Tonali, who hit it well. And Joan Garcia had comfortable control of it. It's better from Newcastle again. The energy's arisen, although Gordon couldn't keep that one at hold. And Rashford wins it back for Barcelona. Now is through ball there from Pedri. Not on the same page as Rafinha there. And Dan Burn able to clear that one away. Right, a reminder for you, we're keeping you up to date with the rest of the games in the Champions League tonight. So far, still goalless in that other game between Manchester City and Napoli. Napoli shown a red card early in that first half, but still City unable to find a breakthrough against a very rigid Italian side. Of course, the reigning Italian champions, Napoli. Martin finding Rashford, who fires one well over the bar. And there's the England manager, Thomas Tuchel. Watching on, I'm sure Marcus Rashford will be at the top of his list of who he's watching, amongst others. Nick Pope is going to kick this goal kick. He's going to send his players way up the field. 35 minutes to go. A lot of time in this game still. Martin sending it flying from that Nick Pope goal kick. Stayed in play. It's a very high bouncing ball. Neither side able to tick it down at the moment, as Lewandowski tried to and failed, and now Newcastle come through with the ball. Joelinton's ball out to the left hand side for Barnes, up against Jules Koundé. Barnes tries to work it back in, blocked by Koundé. Again, the bounce of the ball helps Newcastle. Barnes, Tino Livramento. Barnes going for the overlap of Livramento, and Jules Koundé with a sliding challenge. Goes out for a Newcastle corner. Corner on the left-hand side again. The last one was close from Joe Linton. It's going to be Kieran Trippier that's going to take this one. Halanga has taken a couple recently, but it's back to Trippier as we have a goal at the Etihad to tell you about. We'll get there in a moment after this Newcastle corner. Trippier to take. Right-footed. Fizzed across the box. It's Byrne with a header. Not quite gathered much pace on that one, and Barca clear, and Rashford wins a throw. Goal at the Etihad, and it is a breakthrough for Manchester City. They've been pummeling Napoli since that red card, unable to find a breakthrough, but now they have, and Erling Haaland is the scorer, and Manchester City lead against 10-man Napoli. Remember, City and Newcastle win tonight, it will mean every English side has won on match day 1. Liverpool did it, Arsenal did it, Spurs did it. Oh, sorry, we actually forgot about Chelsea. Never mind. Barcelona into the box here. Every home side won. That would be the case if City and Newcastle won. Anyway, out to the right-hand side here is Koundé into the box, and the header is in! And it's Marcus Rashford. He's been quiet. He wasn't given much room, but he didn't need much room that time. Fabulous header. And Rashford, back on English turf, scores at St James's Park, and Barcelona lead. They've barely been threatening Newcastle's goal at very much occasions tonight, Barcelona. But that is clinical from Marcus Rashford. Fabulous header. Again, they keep it alive. And as Frankie de Jong feeds it out wide for Jules Koundé, Marcus Rashford just steps off Fabian Schär, who just drops a bit deeper, steps a yard away from Rashford, allows him that extra little bit of space, and he just gets that yard. He takes it in full grasp, and Rashford throws his head at the ball and directs it into the bottom left corner. Too far for Nick Pope to keep out. Fabulous header. Great goal. Newcastle 0, Barcelona 1. And it will be analysed. Why did Fabian Schär give him that half yard? That is the difference in the Champions League. The fairest of margins, the finest of margins. 1-0 Barca, and now they're on the move again. Rashford cuts it back now for Fermin. His shot takes a deflection behind for the corner. And now Newcastle need to be careful, as Barca can hit a couple in quick succession. And Newcastle need to try and stifle this now that they have gone behind. Now they need to try and cut that off and make sure it's no more for Barca, and they're going to make a triple change here in a moment. But a corner to Barcelona, left-hand side. Rashford, who will take it. Right-footed into the box and headed away at the front post. And didn't cross the byline, kept alive. Rashford lays it off now to Fermin Lopez, who whips the ball in. Again cleared away by Newcastle. Koundé brings it down and gives it away very cheaply. And the ball trying to find Gordon is mishit. And able to deal with that there, well under pressure there, Gerard Martin. Now Fermin. Inside to Pedri. As we hit the hour mark at St James's Park, you can feel the energy just zapped out of this stadium now after conceding that goal. Marcus Rashford set up by Jules Koundé. There's going to be a stoppage here. Fabian Schär has a head issue, and they got to get him off the feet now. He had that issue a little earlier, if you remember. Rashford's shot that hit him in the head. He was checked and was okay to continue. But now the fact that he's gone down again makes you feel that there's an issue with Fabian Schär. And this is more than just a little knock on the head. And I think they're going to just have to make this change now, Newcastle. And they're already planning 3 changes. I think they might be adding another to that list and making 4 in a row in one go here, Newcastle. A recap of the scores. Nothing has changed elsewhere since we last updated you. Frankfurt 3-1 up against Galatasaray. City leading Napoli by a goal to nil. Napoli, of course, down to 10. And Sporting 1 up against Kairat Almaty. That is the scorelines elsewhere. Barca 1 up here at St James's Park. Marcus Rashford's header. And now another body blow to Newcastle. They're going to have to lose one of their best defenders in Fabian Schär here with a head injury. Possible concussion, you would suspect, and a quadruple change for the Toon Army. Some reserves coming on for his reinforcement, and Nick Voltemada back onto the field after his debut goal at the weekend against Wolves. He's on, as well as Jacob Murphy, and also so Joelinton, Barnes, Elanga and Schär all off, and Joe Willock, Nick Voltemada, Jacob Murphy and Malik Chow are all on. So a quadruple change for Newcastle. And interestingly, Anthony Elanga gone off. That is an interesting one. He's been looked a real threat for Newcastle tonight, especially down that right side, and it's an interesting one to bring him off. But fresh legs. So Voltemada will go to centre forward. Murphy will be down the right side and Gordon will go to the left-hand channel. Livramento. Here's Gordon down the left. Pounced upon by Jules Koundé, but too aggressive by the Barca right back, says the referee. And that's going to be a free kick to Newcastle United. Foul on Anthony Gordon. Having any of that. I'll say nothing, but I'm having none of that. Free kick to Newcastle. Another goal in Lisbon to tell you about. We'll get there in a moment. There's another dangerous set piece here for Newcastle. Voltemada used his head to great effect at the weekend. He's only on the field and he might be involved here. Free kick to Newcastle. Far left side. Right footed. It's high. It's too high. Caught by Joan Garcia with no real worry. It's not the greatest of free kick deliveries, that. As I was saying, a goal in Lisbon. It's another goal for Sporting. And they've doubled their lead against Kairat this evening. And I know it's Trincao again. So it's 2-0 to Sporting, both by Trincao. As here come Barca again. Koundé trying to go for the 1-2 with Rafinha. Nicely battled there to win the ball back down the right with De Jong, who dinks one in. Up and away by Chow and kept alive there. Wide by De Jong again. Recycled by Fermin Lopez to Pedri. Now to Gerard Martin. Down the left comes Rashford. Inside to Pedri again. Back to Araujo. Well, according to the statistics, the Champions League statistics, that was Barca's first shot on target of the night. Other statistics say otherwise. The referee just stood in the way there of Pedri. He just didn't move. Rashford to Pedri. I mean, that was bizarre from the referee. I mean, Pedri literally tried to get past him and the referee says, no, you're not going this way. And he had to go the other way. It was really bizarre from the Swedish referee. And Barca's possession curtails, although they do really well and challenging to try and win it back. But the assistant says they got the last touch, so it's a throw into Newcastle. Another goal to tell you about, actually a number of goals to tell you about. Another one at the Etihad, and it's even better for Manchester City. And Pep Guardiola is feeling the relief of that one. And it is 2-0 to Manchester City. Jeremy Doku with that goal. I didn't quite see it, but by the way Pep Guardiola celebrated, He absolutely loved that one. 2-0 to Manchester City. And another goal as well in Lisbon. Sporting making easy work now of Caoimhan Ferris after they were held for quite a while, but it is now 3-0 to Sporting in that one. And it is another goal. This time Alisson Santos has added the score to the score sheet there for Sporting. 3-0. Bouncing ball here for Barcelona to try and take grip of. Rashford does well again in the tight spaces. Breaks away and has another go. Oh! Fabulous from Rashford. Absolutely tearing it up. Beautiful goal. And Barca have doubled their lead. Rashford destroying the Newcastle defence. And that was another unsavable one for Nick Pope. Cracker of a shot. And all smiles from the travelling Barca supporters up in the gods away from there, but also from the Barca players. See it again, it's a loose ball, it's poor from Newcastle. Dan Burns swipes at it, he allows Rashford to pick it back up. He just gets the inch of space that he needs, and he absolutely rockets it. That's an unbelievable effort, by the way. With the right foot, far corner. In off the underside of the crossbar. That's absolutely unbelievable from Rashford. Unreal. Unsavable from Nick Pope, who was nowhere near it. And Hansi Flick's gone absolutely nuts on the sidelines. Newcastle 0, Barcelona 2. And that's exactly the opposite of what Newcastle needed. 2-0 to Barca. And they find themselves in a tough spot now to the home side with a quarter of the game to go. Marcus Rashford making both goals, scoring both goals. As I said, on his return to England, he is showing what he is truly capable of. Said it was to reignite his career, the move to Barcelona. And if the fire was dimmed, it is shining bright in Marcus Rashford right now. And he's on a hat-trick here, remember. As we see a shot of those travelling Barca fans up in the gods on that far side. Actually, both the side of which the goals were scored. But it's now a massive uphill battle. They call this the Cathedral on the Hill at St James's Park. Well, they're going to have to climb that hill to get back into this game. Our Newcastle. And they're going to make a change here, Barcelona. It's going to see Ferran Torres. So the wrong number was put up there. He's not number 15, he's number 7. So Ferran Torres is coming on for Barcelona. And they're going to make a change. I don't know who's coming off. They've made an absolute mess of that, the officials, because they don't even know who's coming on and off. I mean, that's bizarre. Right, it is Ferran Torres coming on. He's replacing Robert Lewandowski. And Andreas Christensen is coming on. And he's going to replace someone. I'm not too sure who, but he's going to replace someone. I believe it might be Pau Cubarsí. But it is a double change for Barca. They made an absolute mess of that there, the officials. It is Pau Cubarsí, by the way. So Lewandowski and Cubarsí off. Torres and Christensen on for Barcelona. Just over 20 minutes to go. Newcastle 0, Barcelona 2. Marcus Rashford, as I said, with both goals. The second, an absolute screamer. And now there is headroom for every team in the Champions League tonight. And we can tell you there's even more headroom in the games in Frankfurt and in Lisbon. We'll start in Frankfurt. It's been a while since we've seen a goal from there. It was, of course, 2 late goals at the end of the first half that gave Frankfurt their lead. They're now lead by 3 goals. They're 4-1 to the good now. And it is Burkhardt that has given them that fourth. And it is now 4-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt in that one. 4-0 now to Sporting, though, in Lisbon. So they're absolutely tearing it up against Caoimhan Ferris. And the floodgates have opened, and Giovanni Quenda has added a fourth to that tally. It is 4-0 to Sporting CP, or Sporting Lisbon, whatever you want to call them. There in Lisbon. Newcastle, the only side at home so far tonight that hasn't scored of our 6 games that we've seen. Actually, every other home team has actually scored at least 2 goals so far this evening in the Champions League. So a tough night it seems to be for Newcastle. There's still time for that to change for Newcastle. That's lovely here from Joe Willock to ride through the challenges, but couldn't play the pass to Murphy as Barca try and ping it. What a reverse ball that is from Rashford. Spun out to the far right side for Rafinha. He's got an option in the middle, and Torres for Rafinha! Tried to rile it in himself there, just wide of the left post. They're all in the scene now. They're all on it now, Barcelona. And Rafinha, again, he might be just offside actually nonetheless, but whether he was or he wasn't didn't matter because he didn't hit the nets. Nick Voltemata hasn't seen much of the action so far since entering the fray. About 10 minutes ago. That second goal, a real killer for Newcastle. But the game is not over till it's over. That's what the old saying. But Newcastle, the stats don't read nicely for them. As I said, they've only beaten Barca once in their 4 meetings previously. And they haven't beaten them since 1997, which was nearly 30 years ago. And Newcastle have won only 1 of their last 8 European matches in total, drawn 3 and lost 4. But however, they've lost only 3 of their last 31 home European games. The Magpies, 121 and drawn 7, although they have been beaten in their last 2 home European games, Dortmund and Milan, both by the odd goal though, which did help their record, and they were both in 2023 in the group stages of that campaign. Here's Nick Voltemata. As well to reverse it into Joe Linton, and Voltemata pinged it back towards Tonali, who controls it well, but again on his own there as Barca clear it long from danger. Nice little drag back by Malik Chow there. Switching it out to the left-hand side for Tino Livramento. Down the left-hand side comes Gordon. They get a goal back, Newcastle, you never know. Anything's possible with this crowd. Gordon, nice fleck back there. Shots! Good save by Joan Garcia. Bruno Guimaraes with that effort. There's a roll back by Nick Voltemata. And on to it came Bruno Guimaraes, who struck it well. But a good save and decent save for Joan Garcia. The next goal is crucial. And here comes Rashford, who's on that hat-trick. Down the right and left-hand side, he's bursting through. He's got past Trippier, but Trippier did just enough to get back in the nick of time. Otherwise, Rashford was well in there. But nicely held off by Trippier. He would have done a lot of defending against him when he was a Man United player, of course, Marcus Rashford. Fermin Lopez has been given a yellow card here for it. Excuse me. For a foul. Apologies. Yeah, we see this again from Rashford down that right-hand side, that left-hand side. Goes on the outside of Trippier, who did just enough to put him off when he did get into the box. Tracking him back and did really, really well. And in the end, there was a foul in there. Just afterwards, that was why Fermin Lopez got a yellow card. Just a clumsy foul to give away, and gets himself a booking. Jeez, I don't know what happened there. Newcastle are going to make their 5th and final change of the night. We'll tell you about that in a second. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That'd be greatly appreciated. We thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been a great night so far. Still a good 15 minutes or so to come here at St James's Park. Despite the scoreline, Newcastle know it's not done and dusted just yet. The game could still spin back in their favour. As I said, they'll make that final change. Kieran Trippier is coming off, and Sven Botman is coming on. So they might go to a back three here, Newcastle, and push an extra body forward. And maybe Livramento, as here they come down the right. Murphy is blocked. And out for the throw when it comes. Willock had to deal with a tough ball there, but he did well. Byrne, Livramento down the left-hand side. Here comes Anthony Gordon. Couldn't get past Ronald Araujo that time. Throw in to Newcastle. And, Araujo's gone down, holding his calf. So Barca were already eyeing up some changes anyway, but you would probably guess that would be tactical. A tactical injury. Yeah, he's back to his feet. He should be okay, but he did feel something, he says anyway, Ronald Araujo, but back to his feet without receiving any treatments. And going to be another long throw in here for Newcastle. Tino Livramento to take it again. Got a lot of height to target in there. Botman, Voltamara, Byrne, the key targets. Long throw into the box. Flicked by Dan Byrne. Guimaraes tried to get there, but he couldn't. Cleared away. Livramento fizzed it back in. Up and away from Sven Botman by Rashford. As Barca trying to get it away. Botman does well to keep it alive. And fizzed into the box by Willock. And capped down by Joan Garcia, who makes the save. De Jong striding into midfield. I've got to say the Barcelona midfield have been very rigid, just perfect really. Pedri and Frenkie de Jong. Of course, we talk a lot about the Newcastle midfield of Joelinton, Guimaraes and Tonali, but credit to de Jong and Pedri as a two. They've not put a foot wrong at all tonight. And they just keep it alive. Even when Newcastle press them, Barcelona, they're able to deal with it calmly and with composure and able to work their way out of it. De Jong, as I said, they were readying some substitutes. Barcelona, a double sub in a moment, as Rashford tried that ball round the corner. Didn't quite find his teammate, although he battled to win it back. Not for very long. There was Botman did well, but he's given it away cheaply. And in the end, won back again by Newcastle. A few turnovers in possession there. And now a bit of space here for Gordon. Plays it down the left to Livramento, who got the ball caught under his feet as the referee plays advantage here for Barcelona. Jules Koundé. Pedri. Back to Koundé. Barca, I think, not worried about upping the tempo. I think they just want to cry it in this game and manage it to the finish line now. Get a opening match day 3 points on the road. A massive 3 points it would be. Not many teams come to St James's Park and leave with all 3 points in any competition. It's a ball over the top here. In behind is Ferran Torres, who was brought down. But a fair challenge by Malik Chow, said the Swedish referee. And Newcastle play on. Looked a little bit easy that Ferran Torres went over there. Although can't guarantee that. It didn't get a close-up view of it, but Newcastle seemed to have it mopped up anyway. Nonetheless, 10 minutes to go then. It's in James's Park. Newcastle 0, Barcelona 2, and Rashford went down. He felt he was elbowed there, Marcus Rashford, but I don't think anybody else saw that. Malik Chow was the one that was deemed to have been involved. Let's see this again. Ooh. It is a stray arm from Chow, but The referee was looking right at it, but looked a little bit awkward. I've got to say, the referee's been a bit strange, especially in the second half. I mean, standing in the way of Barcelona players. Strange with his decision-making at times. He's been overall consistent, but a few strange things he's done in the second half, the referee. As we see the 2 goals again. Absolutely gorgeous from Rashford tonight. I mean, he was quiet right up until he scored his 2 goals. And, you know, you talk about the best players in the world. They have a quiet 60 minutes and then they come alive and score 2 goals and win the game. And that's what Rashford's got in his locker. You know what he's capable of. He's just been taken off, by the way. And unbelievable night. On a return to the English soil. And he's returned and picked up 2 goals for his new club in Barcelona. Some people scoffed at it when Barcelona signed him this summer. Well, I don't think Barcelona will be listening to them anytime soon, because at the minute, Marcus Rashford is the man that is getting Barcelona 3 points here at St James's Park. As Frankie de Jong gets a yellow card for his pullback in the midfield there. Rashford and Gerard Martin were the 2 that left the field there in those double substitution. Dani Olmo and Eric Garcia on in their places. Free kick for Newcastle. The time is ticking away from them. They need to create something, and soon. Gordon couldn't even get it into the box. Pedri to clear it away. And he's not even that tall, Pedri, if I'm honest. He's certainly not the tallest on the field. Far from it. Newcastle failing to deal with it that time. Jacob Murphy, though, gets it away. But can't find a through ball. It seems like Barcelona just have this game under control at the minute. That's a lovely ball by Rafinha. Beautifully taken, although they try to be too tricky there. On that occasion, Eric Garcia. Pedri again, wins it back beautifully. I mean, he's just so silky at times, that Barca midfield. And Pedri has, as I said, been unbelievable tonight. He's not done anything out of the kind of extraordinary, but everything that he does, he just does it to perfection and doesn't look flustered. Looks composed, and still only 22, Pedri. He is a real leader in this Barca team. By the way he plays football, just how he carries himself on the field, how effortless he makes it look sometimes. Some of the best leaders don't even need to say a word. They lead by action, and Pedri, I would say, is one of those. He leads by action. Barca just calm in their possession. Well, let's take a quick glimpse at what these 2 have got to come up in the Champions League, of course, after tonight. Of course, 8 games in this league phase. They return to match day 2 in 2 weeks, Newcastle. They've got 3 games between now and then, but they head to Belgium, I believe it is. Yeah, Belgium to place Union Saint-Gilloise. Of course, the debutants who got a match day 1 victory 2 nights ago. Union Saint-Gilloise away at PSV. They will host Newcastle on match day 2. Then Newcastle hosts Benfica here on match day 3. Then another game at home against Athletic Club on match day 4. A trip to Marseille, a trip to Leverkusen, back at home against PSV Eindhoven, and then this one on match day 8 of the Champions League phase. What a setup this is, as Newcastle head to the champions PSG at the end of January. What a game that is set up to be on match day 8, and who knows, by that point Newcastle could be in a fight to head to the knockout stages. For Barcelona, their league phase looks like this. Of course, tonight away at Newcastle, they're back at home. They take on the European champions on match day 2. That is going to be some blockbuster clash there. That's the Champions League final that wasn't really last season. Barcelona against PSG's match day 2. Then also they host Olympiacos in back-to-back home games in the Champions League to Barca. They head to Club Bruges, followed by a trip to Chelsea. Back at home against Frankfurt before, again after Christmas, they then head to Slavia Prague before hosting Copenhagen on the final day of the league phase on match day 8. Right, some more updates to tell you about from those other games, and a goal in 2 of those other games. Frankfurt now 5-1 to the good against Galatasaray. That game was well beyond doubt a good while ago of what way that result was going, but it is now 5-1, and it's Knauf, Anaga Knauf with a the fifth goal for Frankfurt, the 6th on the night. 5th for Frankfurt, and a 5th goal in the game between Sporting and Kairat. But the visitors have got their first ever Champions League goal, and it's away at Sporting. It's not to change the result, but it is a goal nonetheless for them. Edmilson has got the goal, and that is Kairat Almaty's first ever goal in the Champions League. But in the end, it's only going to be a consolation there in that one. And still all the same at the Etihad, still 2-0 to Man City against Napoli. Napoli down to 10, and City 2-0 to the good through Erling Haaland and Jeremy Doku. And here it is Newcastle 0, Barcelona 2, Marcus Rashford with both goals. Right, 3 minutes to go. Newcastle really haven't applied much pressure to Barcelona recently. And as I said, the time is massively running out for them to try and get something out of this game. They've 2 goals to make up and not much time to do it. Here's Willock working himself into trouble there as he tried to work it into the final third, and now Barcelona on the breakaway with Newcastle committing so many bodies forward. Here's a Barca counter-attack to Rafinha now. This would end the game. Rafinha lays it back, and the shot is sent wide from Fermin Lopez. Voltemada held off well there, but fouled by Ronald Araujo as he tried to sit deeper, Nick Voltemada, and to keep the possession. Guimaraes going for the long switch ball. It was the right idea, it's not the right execution to find Joe Willock down that side. And it's come all the way through for Joan Garcia again in the Barca goal. That second goal really was a killer for Newcastle. Even though they went 1-0 down, they made all those changes, and you thought, could that inspire a comeback? Could that inspire something from Newcastle? But the second goal from Barcelona really just dead the belief for the majority of those inside this stadium, and probably the players too, that it would be tough to find a way back against such a good side. The belief is always needed to be kept to the very end, because you never know. And at that time when Barca did go 2 up, there was still a good quarter of the game to go, so it was certainly not done and dusted. The way Barca have managed it, you know, we talk about how they kind of threw away that Champions League semi-final last year against Inter in that crazy game at San Siro, but their management of this game tonight, the way they've gone 2-0 up and not looked fearless. They've looked fearless, and they've looked without real bother by Newcastle since. That can all change, and that's a good ball down the right side, and a ball into the box here. Oh, and a chance at a goal from Anthony Gordon. Something out of nothing for Newcastle. I said never give up. I said always have belief, because you never know. Well, they've got a goal back in the 90th minute, Newcastle. And you just never know. And that's got the crowd back up again. Yeah, great ball into the box there. Fabulous from Newcastle. Again, it's the first real time they've worked it nicely. And it fed down the right side for Murphy, who just rolls it into the 18-yard box with his right foot. Does really, really well. And Anthony Gordon tucks it into the bottom left corner. Takes it on the bobble. And he finds the bottom left corner. And now maybe Barcelona might be a little bit more worried. 2-1. As that's going to be a free kick to Barca. 7 additional minutes. Maybe, just maybe, late drama is on the cards here at St James's Park. And those fans that maybe were stumm and quiet have just come alive. And it's a goal out of absolutely nothing. As I said, as I was talking about it, Barcelona just didn't look bothered at all by Newcastle since they went 2-0 up. But you never know. Football is strange at times. It's bizarre at times. Who knows why or how that goal would enter, what made Newcastle come alive at that moment. But they got a goal. And now it's just reignited this crowd. It's brought Newcastle right back into the game again, and with a chance from 2-0 down to try and rescue this game, as the free kick's gone against them, which they're not happy with. Eric Garcia committed a foul on him. See it again. Yeah, good battle. Yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really, for me. Not much in it. The free kick was given to Barcelona. Now they're going to make a change here. Barca. Mark Casado is going to be coming on very shortly. They feed the ball in behind here. One for Ferran Torres to chase, but nicely seen out by Sven Botman for the Newcastle goal kick. 5 minutes to go of the 7 added. And the crowd roaring again. I said their last 2 defeats at home in Europe was by the odd goal. They've never been pummeled at home, Newcastle. And they're making it sure that it's not going to be a pummeling tonight and keep it very close to the final few minutes here with Barcelona. And Casado is coming on to replace Fermin Lopez for the final few minutes. And the yellow card's been handed out to one of the coaching staff of Newcastle there. Final score at the Etihad, it's finished 2-0 to Man City. It's finished 4-1 to Sporting. And it looks like Frankfurt are going to get all 3 points there as well at home. 5-1 they lead. In the final few minutes, here come Barcelona to try and put this to bed again. A third goal would do that right now. They're in and around the Newcastle box. Down the right-hand side. De Jong finding Casado. And Koundé works it back to Frenkie de Jong. Cannot get a touch on the ball at the minute there, Newcastle. That was a poor forward ball there by Araujo. A knife pinged forward in behind for Gordon. Takes the ball on the bounce. Brings it down. But couldn't find a teammate. As Livramento did really well at winning it back again. Gordon now. Koundé challenging. But kept alive by Livramento. 3 minutes to go. And that's going to be a Barca throw-in. Well won down that right-hand side. Another free kick to Barca. Pedri winning it this time. Just trying to zap any opportunity now of Newcastle getting that late equaliser. Barca unbeaten in the last 7 league phase matches, won 6, drawn 1. And they've scored 3 or more goals in 10 of their last 13 Champions League games. Here is Joan Garcia pinging one forward. A Newcastle player down, but no foul, said the referee, as Barca come down the right-hand side. Here's Rafinha into the box. He's got options. Can he find one of them? The shots! Good save by Pope. And fired away by Sven Botman. 2 minutes to go. It was Danny Olmo that time that had the effort. Nicely set up by Rafinha. Olmo takes it on the... as he strides onto the ball, takes the shot. Nick Pope with a good save. Rafinha. Pedri. Jules Koundé back to Araujo. Finding Frenkie de Jong. Rafinha, nice little 1-2. Rafinha under pressure. Finds de Jong and now Casado. Koundé. Back to Frenkie de Jong. 90 seconds. Time is massively running out here for Barca. Or for Newcastle. Barca with a shot. Deflected off the Newcastle defender. Ferran Torres wins Barca a corner, which Hansi Flick says, don't hurry, take your time with it. They're taking their time. The assistant is trying to drag Dani Olmo and Rafinha over, telling them to hurry up. The crowd are not happy either. I'm sure the referee will be all over this attempt at time wasting from Barca, but less than a minute to go. Corner taken short, as you would expect. Nice little ball to work it back into Rafinha, who goes low. Straight at Nick Pope. One last chance for Newcastle now. Chow dragged back by Casado, who's going to get a yellow card, and that's a very smart foul by Casado, but not from Newcastle's point of view, not happy to see that one. But it is a yellow card just for him, only on the field, and he's already in the book. One last free kick, one last chance for Newcastle United. Ball pinged forward. Flick to keep it alive, but it's fallen for Jules Koundé. He's given it away cheaply. And again, well won back by Barca. And there's the final whistle. It's not. It's going to be a throw-in, is it? I thought that was the final whistle. It's going to be a throw-in. The referee did blow the whistle, but it's a throw-in to Newcastle. Pedri wasn't happy. Hansi Flick wouldn't be happy. This is a last chance saloon for Newcastle. Going to be a long throw from the left-hand side. We're well over 7 minutes. Long throw in. Bouncing down, not cleared away. It is, as the shot comes flying in. And it's low and hard from Tonali straight at Joan Garcia. And that was the chance. That was the opportunity. And they couldn't just take it. As Garcia kicks it. There's the final whistle, as it is. Barcelona get over the line. They get the job done. Newcastle's late goal kept it interesting towards the end. But it was Marcus Rashford that had the 2 goals for Barca to get them 3 points on the road. In the country of his birth, the country where he played for so long, Rashford, he made that continental move to Barcelona in the summer. And here's his first game back in England. On his return in Barca colours, he is the man that steps up and wins this Champions League game for Barcelona. It wasn't really, in the end, a thumper from Barca, but you get the job done. In a place like St James's Park, whatever way you can win is a great win, no matter what. Newcastle will take a lot of pride from this. For a long while, they kept Barca at bay. They kept Barca right in the game. 2 goals from Rashford, 2 bits of individual quality. And in the end, Anthony Gordon got one back to make it interesting, but in the end, it was enough for Barca on the night to get over the line. A great result for Barca. Unlucky for Newcastle on the night. But that is what Champions League delivers. The best will arrive, and you have to be at your best. And on the night, even when they were playing really well, Newcastle at times, defensively anyway, it was the individual brilliance of Marcus Rashford that shone the brightest. And Barca get off with 3 points and a win on match day 1 of the Champions League. Final score at St James's Park. It's finished Newcastle United 1, Barcelona 2. And confirmation of all of our results this evening from our 6 games that we've seen across the Champions League tonight. Club Brugge 4-1 winners against AS Monaco. They were 4-0 up in that game, and late consolation from Monaco denied Bruges the clean sheets, but 3 points nonetheless for Bruges. Copenhagen and Leverkusen, a point apiece there. It was 1-0 Copenhagen, back to 1-1, 2-1 Copenhagen, but Leverkusen got it back to 2-2. It was Frankfurt that made easy work in the end of Galatasaray. Galatasaray scored the opener, but 5 unanswered goals. A couple of own goals as well in there sent Frankfurt flying high and made them 5-1 winners. Man City found a way past 10-man Napoli in the end. Jeremy Doku and Erling Haaland on the score sheet there for City to make it 2-0. Actually, the only home side to keep a clean sheet tonight. The only side to keep a clean sheet tonight were Manchester City. Napoli the only side failing to score. Newcastle, despite giving that late chance with Anthony Gordon to try and get something back in the game, it was Barca that done the job. Marcus Rashford with the 2 goals to make it 3 points for Barcelona. And all 3 points going Sporting's way. 4-1 winners against debutants Kairat Almaty, who did get their very first ever Champions League goal tonight, but it was only to be a consolation. There is all the results. A reminder for you of the results across the week so far. On Tuesday night, Arsenal won 2-0 away at Athletic Club. PSV won, Union Saint-Gilloise 3. Benfica 2, Karabag 3. A 4-all draw between Juventus and Dortmund. 10-man Real Madrid needed 2 penalties from Kylian Mbappe to get past Marseille, and an own goal from the Villarreal goalkeeper secured Thomas Frank a first win for Spurs in the Champions League. 1-0 it finished there. Last night, Olympiacos 0, Pafos 0. Pafos a big point away from home after they went down to 10. Slavia Prague and Bodo Glimt shared the points. 2-2 it finished there. Inter winning away from home against Ajax 2-0. Bayern 3-1 winners against Chelsea. Liverpool left it late again to win 3-2 against Atletico Madrid. And PSG, the champions of Europe, 4-0 winners against Atalanta. That is match day 1 done and dusted. Let's show you the table then. We can't show you the big table, but I'll tell you about the table actually and what that means. So top of the tree with the most goals after match day 1 is Frankfurt. The only team to score 5. A couple of teams scored 4. PSG, Bruges and Sporting all winning by scoring 4 goals. Union Saint-Gilloise, Bayern, Arsenal and Inter all make up the top 8. City, Karabag and Liverpool all in there in the mix, as well as Real Madrid, Barcelona and Spurs. All the teams, the 14 teams that won on match day 1. And the rest of those, a couple of those teams drawing: Pafos, Olympiacos, Slavia Prague, Copenhagen, then Dortmund, Juventus, Leverkusen and Bodo Glimt all drawing their games. That makes up the top 22. And then the bottom teams all on 0 points after match day 1. Atalanta are bottom of that because they haven't scored and they conceded 4 with their goal difference. Galatasaray did score, which meant they were not bottom, they were second bottom. That is really interesting the way that's done, but that's the table after match day 1, and that is us after match day 1. A cracker of a midweek that we've seen here on LFS, and we're back in just a few weeks' time for the second match day of Champions League action, and it is going to be absolutely blistering because it's going to be 9 matches over 2 nights, or 18 matches over 2 nights, 9 each night over match day 2 and beyond. That is Tuesday the 30th of September and Wednesday the 1st of October. Not even 2 weeks away before that one, and the Champions League is back for match day 2. And then this weekend, the Premier League on LFS, a double header for you on Saturday. As lunchtime we get underway at Anfield for the Merseyside derby. Liverpool taking on Everton. Liverpool, the champions, taking on a very well-structured Everton who started the season well. And then our game of the week is on Saturday evening, 5:30, as Man United take on Chelsea at Old Trafford. But that is it from us tonight. Barca get the job done. Rashford back on English soil and doing what he knows best and finding the back of the net. Newcastle unlucky tonight, but there's always 7 more games to come. You never know. Good night.